Hi, I'm Sarah. So, what do you do for a living? One of the hardest skills that I've had to learn as an adult professional in the world is how to talk to people. It can be really tough, especially if you're like me and are kind of an introvert. But talking to people about their work and how they got where they are is a really valuable skill, especially if you're looking at jumping into a new career or looking for a new job or are contemplating going back to school. The process of talking to somebody about their work can take many different forms, but the most classic form is what we would call the informational interview. In an informational interview, you're asking someone about their career path or their job or for some advice or maybe to get connected to somebody in their network. So it's not a job interview, and I want to stress that you really shouldn't expect to get anything but information out of this conversation, but it can be a really useful tool if you're looking at expanding your networks or if you're interested in learning more about a particular career or job field. So I've been on both sides of this equation before. I've had some really stellar informational interviews and some informational interviews that were a little less than ideal. So I wanted to share some of the basic strategies for knocking that informational interview out of the park. Or at least not falling flat on your face. So the first step in any informational interview is what I would call the ask. And the key thing to remember here is that you won't know unless you ask, and even if they say no, chances are it's not about you. So there are many different ways to do the ask, but in general I find most people reach out via email or direct message on social media. I mean, the idea of cold calling I think is just less frequent these days, and I mean really, who picks up a phone and calls anyone anymore? What? So for an email or a direct message on social media, you'll want to keep it pretty brief and to the point. So you might say something like, "Dear Doctor Who, my name is Amy Pond, and I'm really interested in your work in time travel and intergalactic space whales. I'd love to talk with you more about your involvement in that time that the Earth was transported across the galaxy in the blink of an eye. Please let me know if you'd be willing to connect. I'd be happy to come to your TARDIS or meet with you on a planet that best suits your busy schedule. Thanks for considering. Sincerely, Amy Pond." This example email keeps it short and sweet and to the point. It communicates that you're interested in talking with this person at a time and place that works for them. So you get a response back. Yay, they're interested in meeting with you. Well, now what do you do? In terms of setting up a meeting with somebody, if you're going to meet in person, I find it's nice to offer to go to wherever they would like to meet. Maybe it's a coffee shop nearby them, maybe you go directly to their offices. And if you're going to do a Skype interview or a Google Hangout, the same rule is kind of true. Whatever works best for them. If that means you have to figure out a new technology, you figure out the new technology. And hey, if they don't respond, or if they respond to say, no, they're not interested in talking with you, don't sweat it too much. That's usually an indicator that they've got a lot going on and are maybe too busy or don't have the capacity to talk with you right now, more than it is an indicator of your ask being inappropriate. So the second step in any informational interview process is the preparation. The key thing to keep in mind here is the thing that my basketball coaches used to tell me all the time, which is that how you practice is how you'll play. I swear I used to be better at this. So the first step in the preparation process is to really get to know the person that you're interviewing. So do a little background work on finding out who is this person? What kind of positions have they held before? Where are they working now? What type of work are they doing? Next, you want to prepare some questions ahead of time. It might be something open-ended, like, can you tell me a little bit more about how you got into this particular career path? Or it might be something more specific about the particular job that you're interested in. I really find that if you can get people talking about their career or their particular job that they care about, that the conversation really flows from there. Next, if conversations don't come easily to you, or you're worried about what happens if the conversation stalls out completely and you don't know what to do, practice it ahead of time. Whether that's practicing in the mirror, asking your questions, whether that's preparing some anecdotes ahead of time that you think this person might find interesting about your own career path. Lastly, for the preparation stage, I would recommend managing your expectations a little bit. Chances are this isn't going to be a life-changing conversation. The person's probably not going to offer you a job right on the spot. But don't underestimate its power to shift your career trajectory in a positive direction. So now we've reached step 3, which is the actual conversation. The key theme to keep in mind here is that they took a risk in talking to you, so you want to make sure it's a positive experience. First and foremost, be on time. Seriously, barring an epic snowstorm or some other act of God, be sure that you're on time. Don't be late, please. Next is to make sure that you bring a piece of paper and a pen with you to take notes. Jotting down notes throughout the conversation is a really good way to communicate your interest and engagement with the person you're talking with. Next is have your questions ready to go. Now, I'm kind of notoriously bad about this, but I also have a lot of qualitative researcher training to kind of pick up on a thread of conversation and keep it going. If that's not a skill you're strong in, I'd recommend having those questions on a piece of paper ready to go. Next, be sure that you ask for the information that you need. This is where you can ask things like, what would you recommend for someone in my position who's looking at getting into Starfleet Academy? Do you have any advice for someone like me who is looking to get into studying interplanetary botany? Do you know of anyone else at Starfleet Command or in the United Federation of Planets that I should talk to about this? You can also say things like, I'd be interested in any opportunities or connections you might know of that would be helpful for me, perhaps as a volunteer aboard a starship. This way, you're making it clear that you're interested in more engagement, but you're not being super pushy about it. Next, offer your assistance. Though you're the person doing the interviewing here, know that the person who came to this interview might be looking for something too. Maybe they just want to talk about their work, but you may also find that they have particular problems that they're in need of solving. If you feel like you might be a good fit for these needs, you can gently offer your assistance by saying things like, your work in refurbishing the Millennium Falcon sounds really interesting. I'd love to be a part of something like that. Or, wow, your work on building droid communication systems sounds fascinating. In my work as a scavenger on Jakku, I learned a lot about communicating with droids and would love to help your organization facilitate better human-droid communications. Now, some of this depends on how comfortable you are or how the conversation is going in general, but don't be afraid to offer your help if you think that you might actually be able to help them solve a problem. Next, and this is maybe one of the more important ones, be sensitive to their time. Keep it to the agreed upon time frame, or you can make it a little bit shorter if you find that it's not really a love connection. People always love getting time back in their day. They're a little less excited when people commandeer too much time. If you're running out of time but you have one more question that you'd like to get to, you can say something like, I want to be sensitive to your time. Do you have time for one more question? Next, be sure to express gratitude for the time that this person took out of their schedule to talk with you. This can be especially hard if you feel like you didn't really get anything of value out of the conversation, but just remember that they took time out of their lives to talk to you. And chances are their time is pretty valuable to them, so be grateful and say thanks. The fourth stage of the informational interview is the follow-up. The key reminder here, basically be the dinner mint. You want to make sure that you leave a good taste in their mouths. First and foremost, I recommend sending a thank you note or an email within about 24 hours of the informational interview. In this thank you note, you should express gratitude again for them taking the time to talk with you and highlight something specific from the conversation that you found especially interesting or compelling that you're looking forward to following up on. This is also where you can offer your assistance in something that they're working on, by maybe saying, I loved hearing about your work at the Ministry of Magic. If there's ever an opportunity for me to become involved in your work in defeating He Who Must Not Be Named, please don't hesitate to reach out. After you send the thank you note, you may not hear anything back, and that's okay. But if they offered to connect you to someone in their network or send you some information and you haven't heard from them about a week after you send your thank you note, it's okay to go ahead and reach out again politely to inquire about it. At that point, if they still don't respond, usually my recommendation is to let it go. So those are my tips for the informational interview process. Now, all of that said, you're probably gonna mess up from time to time, and that's okay. Learn what you can and adjust your strategy based on reflection and feedback on how it all went, and do better next time. Then, and this is perhaps the most important thing, pay it forward. Someday, whether you believe it or not, you'll probably be in a position where people are asking you for informational interviews. Be kind and generous and willing to talk to people. Remember all those people along your own career path who were kind and talked to you. Now, that's not to say that you have to say yes every time or to every request, but when you do say yes, make sure you do everything you can to make it a good experience for the interviewer too. Remember how nervous and anxious you were about the process of informational interviewing, and also remember that you never know where people are going to end up. It could be that the person across the table from you is going to be a really important colleague someday, or even your boss. So you want to make a good impression, just like they do. And paying it forward, helping each other, making connections, it's what helps make the professional world go round. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, hit that subscribe button. And there's that little bell icon if you want to receive notifications every time we upload a video. And if you want to help this channel keep going and keep growing, you can always support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/developmentalenthusiast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time! Bye!